Hello, everybody. Today we will be doing the lesson here, assignment and lesson May 29th, solving quadratic equations by squaring when b is equal to 0. So when you open this, you will see here's the assignment, which you already have. But if you don't, you can just download it, the video you're watching here. But please make sure you download this because I want you to see something here on this document right here that's very important. So please make sure that you translate this. It's very important. It tells you what we're doing, and make sure to translate it in your language. And but the important thing is we know we've been doing this the other day. We can solve an equation like this, but when you have a square term like the 2, right? When you have the square term, not just x, but x squared, there's a different process we're going to go through to solve an equation with x. Okay, so here is the assignment. Okay, the first question we get is what is the value of 9 squared? What is that equal to? Well, remember, something squared, if you have anything, whether it's x squared, it's the same as x times x or x multiplied by x, okay? So that means that this is just going to be 9 multiplied by 9. And if you do that on your calculator, you should get 81. 9 times 9, enter 81. Okay, so equals 81. So that's your first one. Okay, now we also have this one right here. What is the square root of 81? What the square root means is it's going to give you two numbers. So let's look at this. A square is when you take a number like 3 and you multiply it times itself to become 9. Square root is you ask yourself, what is the square root of 9? So that means that, so we take our calculator, we can go this square root right here, but it's blue, so we got to go second root, and then we go 81, enter, and we get 9 as the answer. Equals 9, okay? So the answer is 9. But why is that important? Because when you take the square root of a number, it tells you what number times itself, like 9 squared, is equal to 81, right? So if I do, let's try this one. Square root of 16, what is that equal to? Second square root 16, enter, is 4. So that means 4 is the square root of 16, and 16 is the square of 4. So 4 squared equals 16, okay? So number 3 says, what is the value of x squared if x is equal to 12? Well, x squared is equal to x times x, or since x is 12, that means x squared is equal to 12 squared. So on our calculator, we can just go like this. We can go, it's good to use a parenthesis before you square something, parenthesis 12, parenthesis, and then see where it says is x squared, you can just press that and then hit enter, and it gives you 144. Okay, same kind of a question here. If x squared is that, what is negative 7? And very important, put in the parentheses, I should have done that too, squared, and you go to your calculator. So when you do a negative, remember, make sure you have the parenthesis, and you need to use negative, this one right here, negative 7, parenthesis, and then squared, enter, equals 49. Okay, so now that we understand that, that's very important. But now what we're going to do is we're going to actually solve for x. This is a different process. So we're going to try to find the value of x that when we square it equals 81. So what we have to do on that one is when we get something where x squared is by itself, what we can do is we can go to x squared equals 81. And we have to go like this, because the opposite of squaring, the opposite of raising something to the power of 2 to get rid of this is to do that, and that cancels it, and then you get x. But you also have to do the same thing to the whole other side, so you get square root of 81. And we already did that up here, right? That's why I use this number. We already did that up here. we found the square root of 81 was 9. So it's the same, right? But very important, when you take the square root, you get a number. It's called plus or minus 9, not just 9. Why is that? Because negative 9 squared equals 81, and 9 squared equals 81. So both the positive and the negative when you square it, because a negative number squared is really like a negative times a negative, right? And that equals a positive, or positive 81. So we always have to remember plus or minus, very important. So now we have two solutions. We have x is equal to negative 9 and 9. Two solutions. Okay, so the smaller, remember, is negative 9. The bigger is positive 9. Okay, so that's what we do. Now, if we have more of an equation where we have more terms, we can do what we did before when we solved equations. So we can take x squared plus 131 equals 275, right? So in order to solve an equation, we need to get the x all by itself. We need to isolate it. So we are going to use the same principles we used before. We're going to combine like terms. The 131, we subtract from both sides, and we get... So now we have x squared because this cancels. And then 275 minus that is going to be 144. And then we have an equation like this one over here. So see if you can find the answer and then come back and try it. Okay? Well, remember, if once we have x squared by itself, now we can get rid of the square by going like this. So this one cancels that, and we have just x. And remember, we have to go like that. So this becomes the square root of 144, but it's plus or minus. So use your calculator to find the square root of 144. Oh, sorry. I need to go like this. Second square 144. Enter. Now, the calculator, when you do this, only gives 12. But remember, it's positive and negative 12. 12. So the solution really is negative 12 and positive 12. So negative 12 and positive 12. Okay, so let's look at number 9 and 10. Try this. Maybe you understand how to get the correct answer. You may want to try it and pause the video and come back. Now I'll show the solution. So we're going to go. So we need to get x squared by itself. So plus 14 plus 14. And then over here, this cancels. So now we're going to get x squared, and then 67 plus 14 is going to be 81. Okay, now you know what do we do next? We take the square root, and this becomes cancels. This becomes x, and that equals plus or minus. So if you do this on your calculator, you should get 9. So that would be minus 9 and positive 9, negative 9 and positive 9. Okay. So also we can do it if there's a number multiplied by the x squared term. But now, since it's multiplied, we're going to do the opposite. So think about what you think the answer is there and try it if you think you know how to do it and come back. Okay? Well, what we need to do is we need to remove this 2 first, divide by 2, right? This cancels that. And then we get x squared equals 98 on your calculator divided by 2 is going to be 49. Okay, and then we take the square root of both sides. This would become x equals plus or minus 7. So negative 7 or 7. Okay, so try this one and come back and check your answer. Okay, so this is going to be x squared. So negative 108 divided by 3. Remember, when you're dividing a negative, you got to use this. So negative 108 divided by, and you got to use it for the 3, negative 3, enter. And I get a positive 36. A negative divided by a negative is positive 36. Okay, so equals 36. Take the square root. This goes bye-bye. We get x equals, and the square root of 36 is going to be plus or minus 6. So minus 6 plus 6. Okay, so go ahead and try this problem right here. And then come back and look at the solution. Okay, so remembering our steps first. First, we combine like terms, like the numbers, the constants, 4 and 609. We subtract 4 from both sides, and then we get 5x squared equals 605. And then we have to remove the 5, what's being multiplied, by division. And then that cancels out. Divide both sides by 5, and then we get x squared equals 121. And then we do the square root of both sides, and the square root of 121 is positive and negative 11. So those are our answers. Okay, so try one more and then come back to the solution, and then the video will be done. Okay, plus 9, plus 9. So this cancels. We have 6x squared equals 726. Now we're going to divide both sides by 6 to remove that. That's 100. Let's see. So that's 121. Okay, so that means this x squared equals 121. And then the last step is going to be to do this. So x equals, and if you do this on your calculator, it's going to be plus or minus 11. So it's like this other one, negative 11 or 11. Okay, so that's how you do it. Now also remember that once you get the solution, if you want to check your answer, let's check 11. You should be able to come down here and you should be able to put it back in the equation. So 6 times, let's write it like this. So is this correct? Is it correct? We can check. So we're going to go here and we're going to take this 11 and we put it right there. Okay, so let's put this in the calculator. Let's clear this out. We're going to do 6 from here, parenthesis 11, parenthesis to the power of 2, okay, minus 9, and we hit enter, and what do we get? 717, see? So we confirm that that is the same as that, so that is the correct answer, okay? Okay, so our last two are just like the others, but now we have an next term on both sides. So just like we did before, we need to go ahead and combine them. So I'm going to take the 5 and move it to that side. And what am I going to do? It's plus, so I'm going to go minus 5x squared, minus 5x squared. And what do I get? I get, so this 7 minus 5 is 2x squared plus 6 equals 168. Okay, and then let's put it over here. Okay, so what do you think we do next? We got the x squareds on one side. Now we're going to get the constants, the numbers, on one side. So I'm going to move the 6 over there. It's being plus, so I go minus 6, minus 6. So 2x squared equals 162. Divide both sides by 2, right? Like normal. 2, 2. That cancels this. X squared equals 81. And if we do this, we get x equals plus or minus 9. So that's negative 9 or 9. Negative 9 or 9. So why don't you go ahead and try this and come back and I'll show you the solution. Okay, so first let's combine the x squared terms. We have 3x squared over here and over there. So let's put them on one side. This is smaller, it's negative, so I'm going to move this one over on that side. But it's negative, so we got to go plus 3x squared to both sides, right? And what happens over here, it cancels, and then we just get 703 on this side. But on this side, now we get 6x squared minus 23. So what next? Okay, you probably know we can get these numbers together. Six x squared, this goes bye-bye, 726. Okay, now we need to remove the 6. Okay, so we get x squared equals 121. We take the square root of both sides, so x is equal to plus or minus 11. And we get negative 11 and 11. So that's how you do this kind of problem here, okay? So we have some practice problems left to do. So everybody go ahead and do the practice problems and enter it into Canvas.